I see that we've got just about all of our council colleagues. I think Councillor Friesen is out of town this evening, so she's not able to join us. So we will go with the team that we've got in attendance. We're here to review one report and make some decisions with respect to that report. It's RFP 46-103-17 for the old fire hall. Council and the community are relatively aware of the context of that issue, I think. We've certainly seen it before. For tonight's meeting, though, recognizing that we have discussed this a number of times, council members have been involved in conversations in the community, and it has been at committee before where the proponents have had an opportunity to present. We'll go with the introduction of the report, and then we'll get to discussing and debating so that council can actually move forward with resolving this issue in one direction or the other. Okay, if my council colleagues are comfortable with that, I'll ask Mr. Glavin to introduce the report for us.
46-10317 to Equity Rentals Limited in the amount of $855,000 as the highest evaluated proponent, subject to the acceptance of a purchase agreement no later than March 9th, 2018 at 12 p.m. Within this report, we've brought back a couple of the items that were requested at a prior committee meeting, which are the moving costs as well as the draft conditions, which are in Appendix A. If council wishes to adopt any of the conditions as they appear in Appendix A, that will need to be specifically included in the motion. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thanks very much, Mr. Glavin. Any questions for Mr. Glavin? Is anybody ringing in the queue? Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Thanks for the new information, Mr. Glavin. I just got a cost, or just a question on the costs of the move. If that's the way council decided to go. It says here information technology, community social development, parks department. If this RFP goes through and then CSD has to move, is the Grand Prairie Public School District building like fit to move into right now, or would there need to be significant renovations done to that, or is that included in all these costs here?
Mr. Glavin?
Thank you, Mayor. Given the former use of the Grand Prairie School District building was office, and we also commissioned a property condition assessment that was done by a third party that confirms that the building is inhabitable and can be moved into immediately.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Thiessen. Councillor Bressie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Glavin, could you remind me what the current estimated value of the building is?
The current appraised value of the fire hall is $1.22 million.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bressie. Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Mayor Given. My questions, I guess, similar to Councillor Thiessen's, but more just wondering when the cost for the city departments was there. I realize that we're looking at having a company move everything, but did we put value of our staff time potential loss in this, or was this just more about relocation costs?
Thank you, Mayor Given. This was largely relocation costs, although we were sensitive to lost staff time and requested the quote to be based on moving over a weekend, so we would reduce the amount of staff time. But however, no doubt there will be some man hours involved in any of the setup, relocating, packing up, that was not accounted for directly in these estimates.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Platt. I don't see anybody else in the queue. I do have a question with respect to should the building transition to private ownership. Do we have an estimate of what the property tax payable would be at the current market value or per $1 million of assessment? I'm just trying to get a sense of if the city didn't own this and it had to pay property taxes, what that annual revenue might look like. Ms. Walker?
Thank you, Mayor Given. At the current appraised value of $1.22 million, based on the 2017 property tax bylaw, that building would attract $18,891 of property tax.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions for management? Okay, I don't see anybody else in the queue. So I'd move on to business arising, open for discussion debate, rather for a motion. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Move that cancel this.
Sir, Councillor O'Toole, I'll just ask that you put your microphone up so it actually.
I can do that. Mayor. Thank you very much, Mayor Given. I move that council cancel this RFP -46-103-17 based on new information provided, and it is not in the best interest for the city at this time.
Thanks for your motion, Councillor O'Toole. That motion, of course, is in order and open for discussion and debate. I see Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I'm going to speak against the motion simply because in the long run, what we did was put out an RFP. It was responded to in good faith. We got information that allowed us to make a decision as to which was the winning proposal based on the way we assess these RFPs. And it seems to me that if we're now going to cancel this because we found too late that certain costs, etc., are prohibitive, it just makes me feel like perhaps we didn't have our ducks in a row. And I would hate for, shouldn't say I would hate for, I don't like the idea that somebody who responded in good faith is going to end up being disappointed because we made an internal mistake, and after all this time, we want to shy away from it.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Blackburn. Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I'll be supporting your motion, Councillor O'Toole, and I guess for me it always comes back to math. So I don't feel comfortable, and I can appreciate what Councillor Blackburn's saying. It's not fun looking out at the folks that have put a lot of time and effort into putting these RFPs together and then not following through with it. But I also feel we have a duty to the citizens of Grande Prairie financially right now, and I guess I'm going to bring it back to just the math of this RFP would close at $365,000 below appraised value or below the assessment value. There's a cost that we've got in a report of $27,000. And when I look at the math, what we might make back for the first 2 years in property taxes, I still have us at a loss of over $330,000, and that's not including staff time that we can't quantify potentially yet, and also the potential rent implications that we may have, or if there is any snags when we move the building. So I can't support it for that reason. And I also, I'm going to say this because I want to empathize with a lot of people I've talked to within the city that would be, I'm not speaking for everybody, but the ones that we're about to go through priority-based budgeting to try to find every way we can to streamline our costs to run our city, and to take potentially a $400,000 hit just to protect the sanctity of an RFP. I wouldn't sleep well with that. So I will be supporting Mr. O'Toole's motion.
Thanks, Councillor Platt. Council, my little screen that runs the council meeting has sort of changed to touch logo to start meeting. So I'm going to do that. And if all the lights go off, was my fault. Well, I guess it would have been my fault. My microphone went off. That's actually that would be preferable for many people, I'm sure. Councillor Clayton.
Thank you, Mayor Given. I also will be supporting the motion. I think that based on the initiatives that this council and past council have done in regards to enhancing the downtown, to sell a building at a loss that in turn you will not regain the revenue over a reasonable amount of time would be fiscally irresponsible for the future of the strength potential of our downtown. So I think that it's in good faith the decision that, although I can appreciate the effort put and the potential concerns from the successful proponent, I'm not comfortable awarding this tender. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Clayton. I see Councillor Bressie in the queue. With if it's okay with you, I'll just speak now rather than doing it towards the end. I'll just say that I won't be supporting the motion. Ultimately, I guess I'm assessing the value of the project on more than just financial terms. And at least at a minimum, I think that the highest and best use of our downtown isn't for a garage. A substantial portion of the building is currently essentially that, a garage. I think there are better uses for that property that will generate more activity downtown, and I do assign some value to that. It may not be financial, although in the long run, I think it will have a positive financial impact on the downtown. And so that's where I'm seeing this. And for that reason, and for the integrity of the city's RFP process, I won't be supporting not moving forward. I think absolutely recognize that there would be cost to the city in terms of moving staff and relocating. But for me, it's the big picture, and I am still supportive of moving forward. Councillor Bressie?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Given. This is one, I think this has been our hardest vote on council, at least for me, and I've been going back and forth on this all weekend and not even really knowing today what I was going to vote. And I think I'm going to be voting in favor of this motion, and I know it's going to disappoint people. And one of the reasons it was hard for me is I haven't been comfortable with the sale since we looked at it, but I really do believe that it's important to honor the work of the last council and go ahead with the process that they've initiated unless we're really, really uncomfortable with the end result. And I'm not comfortable taking a $400,000 lower value on this than it's assessed at. And I haven't been comfortable with this process has been going on. So this is the first time that I'm going to vote against the process that was initiated against the House Council, and it's something that I don't do lightly. But in this case, I feel I need to do.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Bressie. Any other discussion or debate? So, I see Councillor Palat.
This question may be more for administration, just to kind of Councillor Clayton's point. If we do sell a property for well below market value, are we concerned that this is going to affect other values in the downtown core for assessment?
Is there someone on administration that can speak to that question? See Ms. Walker.
I don't have enough information to be able to give you a good answer, a direct answer to that question. It will have, it depends on what other properties sell in that area of the city and what their sale prices are and if they're comparable or not comparable. So it's a difficult question to go yes or no with. Sorry.
Okay, no, I can appreciate that, I guess. The other, no, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Palat. I don't see anybody else in the queue. Council, this would be your last opportunity. And because it doesn't always happen, I will remind people what happens in the case of a tie. We have an even number of council members here, and so if there was a tie of 4-4, that vote is lost. That motion is lost. And so then we'd have to we'd have to follow up with another motion. But in the case of a 4-4 tie, the motion is lost. So I will call for the vote on Councillor O'Toole's motion. Please vote. Vote in favor. Just to remind everybody, vote in favor of that motion was to cancel the RFP. Everybody was clear and voted on that basis. Okay, I will display the results. Thank you. That motion does carry, and so Council has decided to cancel RFP 46-103-17. And that does conclude our business with respect to the disposal of the old fire hall. My understanding from management is that it would continue in its current use, and council, well, Mr. City Manager, maybe you can speak to the status of the building in terms of the use by the city.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It would be our intention to continue to use the building as it is currently in use today. And that will afford council decisions going forward with regard to future market values, future disposition of the building, and any future decisions relating to the building.
Okay. Okay. Thanks very much, Mr. City Manager. Unless there is any other business to come forward from council, then we will call our meeting adjourned. Thank you.